Welcome to episode 15 of the Elite Wrestling Club podcast, where we explore individuals' dreams and the unwavering persistence to achieve them on and off the mat. Hi, I'm your host, Lance Runyon, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for another inspiring episode. In this episode, we will be going behind the scenes with Jim Miller, who is a current director of the Dan Gable Wrestling Museum. He has a long list of accolades, not only as a coach, but also as a wrestler for you and I. Jim is a six-time Hall of Fame inductee as a coach and accomplished 10 national championship titles while at Wartburg College. He is also a two-time Division II national champion and a two-time D1 All-American. We will share personal stories and valuable insights, and we're excited to bring you a fascinating conversation that will inspire and motivate you to chase your dreams and achieve greatness both on and off the mat. So without further ado, let's welcome Jim Miller and dive into the Elite Wrestling Club podcast world. So obviously I've been spending a lot of time with Jim working at the museum in Waterloo here. There's many things I've picked up on working here, and just with Jim being a guy that I want to learn so much from, and especially wanting to be a coach one day. So, Jim shared a lot of amazing stories with me, and he brings a lot of incredible insights to life. He also wrote a book called Do It Anyway, so you should check that out, and we'll definitely be exploring that as well. I just want to thank you for putting so much time into the sport of wrestling and joining me here today on our podcast. I'm looking forward to exploring your thoughts and your insights.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Kyle Klingman, all the work he does, but also he sent me a few ideas and topics for you. So
Klingman knows me about as good as anybody, probably better, including myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of different topics that spark my interest in your coaching career and athletic career, like building a culture, communication, building relationships, and inclusion. So I guess just to start out, first question, how does effective communication lead to high-level results?
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of it's trial and error. I had to learn. I wasn't real confident starting out coaching when I started high school, coaching. And it was trial and error, asking for help, just trying to get better. And really, it came down to, I tried to make things simple. And I don't like it to be complicated for myself. I don't want it to be complicated for my athletes or anybody. But, I just thought if I put my head down and worked and outworked people, we'd win more. And we did. And even sometimes when we maybe didn't have as good a team, the results played out, So.
Yeah, I know you've shared a story with me about Coach Siddons. The story of you guys competing as high school teams, and then kind of you taking a step back and being like, well, this guy's a great coach. Why don't I pick his brain a little bit, ask him some questions, and learn as much from him as I can? So if you want to talk a little bit about that relationship and just how you developed the mindset of being able to ask a question.
Yeah, Bob Siddons was the man. Bob Siddons was the best coach in Iowa, 11 state titles. Dan Gable's coach and many others. And I was at East Waterloo. He was at West Waterloo. So I never really got to know Bob. He was always very gracious every time I talked to him. But then when I was at UNI, he'd invite everybody to come there and work out at Thanksgiving, at Christmas break. So there was a lot of college guys in the West High wrestling at that time. And so that's when I got to know him a little bit better. And so when I started coaching at Charles City, we were in the same district as West. We wrestled a dual meet against each other. And he was the top team in the state, pretty much. And so I wanted to win. And I know Bob wanted to win, and he was winning. And so, there was a lot of questions I had as a high school head coach. I was 24 years old, right? And I wanted to ask Bob some. But I was kind of hesitant because we were competing against each other.
Okay.
Why would he help me? He had I'm thinking, he don't want to help me. He wants to beat me. I get that. But we were at an event together in Waterloo, and I don't remember what the event was, but we were both there. And I'm thinking, here's my chance, And toward the end of the event, I kind of got up some courage and went up and said, hey, coach, care if I ask you some questions? He goes, no. and didn't even hesitate, So I don't know how long it took. We probably sat there because the event got over, and we sat there another 45 minutes to an hour. I just asked him about parents. I asked him about, how do you handle this situation? How do you handle tryouts? I mean, I had a whole litany of things I was wondering what would be the best way to do this. And man, I just accumulated some gold from him that I used all the way through my coaching career, not just at Charles City. And but the thing he told me at the end was, I thought, gold. And I said, thanks, Coach Siddons. I know we're competing against each other, and you had no reason that you needed to help me, but you did. And he said something to the effect of, Jim, we compete against each other maybe 3 hours a year. That leaves a whole lot of time that we're not competing against each other. And so he was all about helping, not just me, anybody that would. And so that really stuck with me. And that's what I tried to do when people were asking me for help later on, that no matter if we were competing or not, that in some ways, I tried to help people. They'd ask about camps, or they'd ask about your assistant coaches, who does this, and your strength training program and things like that. I didn't think it ever affected the win-loss record, but I tried to give back too. So that was really an impactful meeting with Bob Siddons.
Before diving into today's episode, we would like to shout out our first sponsor of the episode, the Wash Bar. Get ready for an extraordinary car wash experience that breaks the mold. The Wash Bar offers a wide range of services tailored to your unique preferences, your wash, your way, as often as you like. Your satisfaction is their top priority. The team at the Wash Bar meticulously remembers your preferences, ensuring consistent and high-quality service every single time. Their user-friendly app and online tools make it easy for you to customize your car wash experience effortlessly. At the Wash Bar, it's more than just a car wash. It's a welcoming community. Get to know their friendly team and enjoy complimentary root beer for the little ones as they eagerly await the magic of their car wash being transformed. Experience unrivaled cleanliness with the Wash Bar's cutting-edge technology. They understand that a clean car is not just a luxury, but a sanctuary in today's fast-paced world. You can also take advantage of their 24-hour self-service bays, free vacuums, and other convenient amenities. Don't miss out on the exceptional car wash experience waiting for you at the Wash Bar, located at 1125 Fountains Way. Come in today for a truly unique and unparalleled car wash experience. Thank you again to our sponsor, the Wash Bar. Now let's begin today's episode. Yeah, I remember you telling me that another big thing you took away from the conversation was finding compliments. So finding people that help you raise your level and help you get better, because you don't know everything. You don't always know what the right answer is. So you find these people that can help you
100%
get there.
Yeah, and I wasn't very good at strength training, so I tried to find somebody that was good at strength training, and not only good at it, they loved it. I didn't love it. I was struggling with something like that, And even when you're hiring assistants, trying to hire people that compliment you, that you're all not exactly the same. Let's get I wanted somebody that was good at things I wasn't good at too. Yeah, they're loyal. Yeah, we all want to win. We all want to do that. But there's some things that because I want to turn them loose. I want to just empower my assistants to just go for it, man. Do your job. And, if something happens once in a while, you talk about it. But I wanted to empower them to do their thing. And I wanted to get people that were better than I was at those things.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know you use visualization a lot, not only as an athlete, but also as a coach, and instilling that into your athletes. So if you want to talk about how you've used that as a tool to create a winning culture.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's dreaming, right? No matter what it is. I'm dreaming I want this car. I'm dreaming I want a championship. But if you're at a place that had never won a championship, that wasn't winning championships, how do you get there? And one thing I know what we needed to do to get there was to talk about it, to actually put that video in athletes' minds and other coaches' minds. That's what I was trying to do, because I had that video. I wanted to know what it felt like to walk up and get the trophy. What's that feel like? What's that look like? I knew what it looked like in my mind, right? And I'm trying to instill that, and I did with athletes. With, what's that feel like when you walk up on the podium? Well, maybe they had never thought about that before, but you can almost see it sometimes. Like, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a dream that I want to see happen. I didn't want them to be afraid of seeing that dream. I wanted them thinking that way. I wanted them to run that video. Same thing if it was graduation. I wanted all our kids to graduate, right? And so I want them to run that video too. What's that feel like? What's that look like? What's that feel like for your mom, for your siblings, for maybe even the people that said you couldn't do it, And so visualization, I think, is really important. And, I do it every day for one reason or another. If I'm going to give a speech, I'm trying to visualize what a great speech looks like. I'm going to envision that. And when I walk up there, I'm walking up like I'm going to give one, right? If I'm going into the classroom to teach, because I taught my whole career, I'm going to walk in classroom like, hey, I'm excited to be here. Whether I was or not, maybe another factor. But if I'm acting like I am, I had the tendency to all of a sudden, I did get into it. I did feel like I wanted to be there, and I wanted to have a great day.
Right. So that sounds a lot like just making the choice.
Yes, making your mind up. Making your mind up is such a powerful, powerful tool in whatever you're going to do. Making a firm decision is a big deal. Hey, I'm doing this. I'm losing the weight, or I am getting up each morning and work out. I already made my mind up. It's not like, oh man, do I really feel like it now? No, that had nothing to do with it. Decisions already got made. When I walk into practice, hey, I'm going all out. Whether I win or lose, I don't know. But I already made my mind up. When we're going hard, I'm going all out. And that just gets to be a habit. Just to get to be a part of who you are. It's in your DNA. But making your mind up, already making a decision, is really a powerful thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's powerful. Obviously just making that decision to show up and give your full effort, have a good attitude about it. But then there's also things that come into play that we can't always control, like that unforeseeable adversity.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about that, navigating that unforeseeable adversity and still being able to perform at a high level when those things come into play.
Yeah, I mean, that's some things you just don't have control over. And, depending on what the adversity is, I mean, the book's called Do It Anyway. Sometimes the do it anyway is, hey man, I got to sit out because I'm hurt. I need to get better. You might have to do it anyway in that respect because you don't want to, so you might have to do some things you don't want to, but it's the best thing, and if you got your trainer that you trust, your doctor that you trust saying, hey, here's the best thing we got going. We got to do that. We're going to do this for 2 weeks. Then we're going to rehab for a week. And I think we'll be able to get back in there or whatever the situation is. That's what we're going to do. And so, a lot of times you're a competitor. You don't want to have to do that, but that's what you're going to have. Sometimes that's what you got to do. Other adversity might be grades. It might be, dude, get with it. You can change that stuff. Sometimes some things you got a lot more control over than others, right?
Yeah, so exactly. And I mean, you talk about seeking that assistance from a trainer or a doctor or a dentist or whoever it is. And I just want to ask you how often you ask for help. How often did you ask for help during your tenure as a head coach at Warburg? And where would you look to seek that advice?
Ask for help was just part of my life. I mean, it was just a daily habit almost, And when you talk about, hey, I wanted a dentist, I wanted a lawyer, I wanted a doctor, I wanted a chiropractor, I wanted a physical therapist, I wanted people that you could just call up. Hey, this coach, what's happening, man? Hey, hey, can you go see this young man? You could really help him. Or maybe even sometimes I got to the point where, hey, I'll just come over after practice. stuff like that. I mean, how much is that worth? And trust is a big deal, obviously, too. But, it's the same thing. Who am I asking help for? I mean, I started at Warburg with a car dealer, the owner of a car dealership, and the owner of a bar, But you think about it, who knows people better than those guys?
Right.
Who knows selling better than those guys? Who knows customer loyalty better than those guys? And man, I got some great knowledge from that, right? And then those guys, not only these two particular guys, were embedded in the community because I wasn't. And when you got people like that have a big network, and now they're trying to help me, now I had their network because they're telling other people, hey, we got to get behind these programs and so forth. And that's one reason why it took off so fast as far as support, And and along the way, do you want the athletic director in your back and behind you, helping you? Yeah. Do you want the president? Do you want the secretary? Do you want the maintenance people? I mean, how critical is that? For me in wrestling, we had work study people doing our match, but what happens at Thanksgiving break? What happens at Christmas break? I mean, they're not there.
Right.
But these guys just picked it up. Hey, coach, we got the mask. Don't. Man, how important is that in the whole scheme of things? It's critical. So just trying to incorporate everybody as a part of the family, as a part of the support group. And every time I ask for help, it's almost like they were honored that you're helping them. It was a compliment.
Yep.
Hey, man, hey, you got a minute? I need some advice.
Right.
I must have said that thousands of times. And that's a good way to start, right? I need some advice.
Yep.
And it might be another coach I'm asking because they're really good at recruiting. How do I get that? Let me listen to your recruiting pitch. Let me listen to you while you're calling. Man, I mean, same thing I do in business. If you got a good salesman and you're the good salesman, I want to listen to what you're saying. I want to listen to how are you hooking them, and reeling them in, And same thing with recruits and so forth. I think the same thing with parents. What do you say? So I felt I really got good at that stuff, and obviously it paid off.
Right. And right there, you talk a lot about just observation. Has nothing to do with what's coming out of your mouth, has everything to do with what you're taking in through your ears and your eyes. Just watching people, listening to people that are good, they're successful, they just are good at what they do,
It's knowledge accumulation, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you talked about bringing all those people into your team. So obviously we know there's 10 guys on a starting lineup, So how do you also, you talked about bringing in all those outside people, all the support, all the people part of the family. How do you also extend that from beyond those 10 guys? How do you make sure that you include these 20, 30, 40 other guys that you have on your team a part of it and make them feel like they're a part of it, make them feel like they're contributing?
Well, this has happened a number of times. Hey, thanks for having me. I really felt like I was a part of it. That's because you were. It's because you are a part of it, But as far as athletes, here's the thing, man. I didn't know. I got to the point where I wasn't sure who the next great one was going to be, because almost all did not start as the guy. Almost everybody. Very few started as the guy, right? And so many came from getting the heck beat out of them, like most of us do in this sport, to progressing to the guy, to the National League guy, to maybe the champion of the weight class guy. But you just weren't sure who that was going to be. And I was wrong so many times that I quit predicting. I mean, I never predicted publicly, but even geez. I might be telling one of the assistant coaches or even my wife, I'll give you a quick story. His name is Heath Ropp. Heath Ropp's dad owned a John Deere dealership for tractors, lawnmowers. And it was in down by Iowa City, past Iowa City. And we needed a lawn. I'm riding tractor. I said, hey, we got to go down and see Warren Robb. And so here we go. We go down, and Heath Robb was just a little guy. He got third in the state, like at maybe 112, something like that. He was tiny. But he didn't get big. His first year, he was maybe 120 full feet for a weight class of 125.
Yep.
And we had a guy there named Zach Wigline, who's a two-time national champ at 125. We had national runner-up at 130. I mean, we were loaded down there. He just got crushed in practice. I mean, I literally, one of the few times I really felt bad watching. I mean, it was rough. And so I'm thinking, man, I hope this kid stays out, but nicest kid in the world. And we're going down there, and he came over. It was summer, so he came to the shop. Hi, coach. How you doing? Da, da, da. And so we're leaving. We buy a tractor, a lawnmower. We're leaving, and my wife says, oh, I love that kid. What a great young man. I go, he is, but he's never going to make our team. She goes, how you know? He said, trust me, I'm the head coach. I know. He ain't even been close to making our team. 2 years later, he makes our team. He gets third in the nation his junior year and is national champ his senior year. Yeah. And don't think my wife didn't continually, not just that year, all the years after that, and that was 2003, all the years after that, hey, yeah, you're the head coach, you know, all that stuff. But so I quit. Dude, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know who's going to be the next great one that you have. And there's too many variables, too many factors, because this kid he grew, he got strong, and he got confidence, and he took off. And it was so very cool.
Man, that's an incredible story. I mean, you just never know who wants to put their head down and put the work in, right?
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot of good things that went into your career, and obviously you had a successful career, but there's also a lot of challenges that come in when you start creating a successful team. If you want to talk about kind of what some of those challenges were that came in when you were creating a successful.
Well, the biggest challenge was thinking that we could do it. You know, when I got there, we didn't have a big team. You know, we the first year we didn't. We were missing the first weight class, and I'm trying to think. I think at that time it was 118 before it went to 125. And we had 16 guys out, I think, and so we didn't have depth. We didn't, we had a few good guys. We just didn't have good depth, and we didn't have enough really good guys. And but our confidence was, we weren't used to winning. We hadn't won the conference in 13 years, the conference, right? And so, and the first year we didn't win it again. We got second the first year, but we got 8th in the nation, which was a big deal because we had only been in the top 10 one other time in history. And so we built off that. And then, we really worked hard, got some other good recruits and so forth. And anyway, long story short, the next year we were second in the nation, lost the national title by 1 point, which I made so many mistakes that year coaching that I take responsibility on that one, but for sure. But it got fast, but we started believing in ourselves. That's the big thing. When you start, maybe a young man beats somebody he hadn't beaten before. There was a number of teams I can tell you that we start beating that we hadn't beaten for a long time, right? And so, and then we start competing with the best teams in the league, like Augsburg and so forth, And so confidence level changed and results changed. Yeah.
And then people start showing up and they expect to win.
100%. And fans started showing up, right? Fans started going to national tournament, which really hadn't been a thing. Parents went, but not fans. And the momentum, you could just feel the momentum start to build. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot, too, to pour into these athletes, build that confidence, get them to understand, okay, we can do this, So, like, how did you motivate and empower these athletes to perform at or near their full potential?
Well, part of it wasn't just me. I mean, we had other people on the staff and so forth. And at the first 7 years, I didn't have a full-time assistant. And so they were basically all volunteers, man. It was, they loved the program. They loved being a part of it and so forth. And they made they were huge, a lot of those people. So, but making connections with kids and just building kids up, patting them on the back. Hey man, we can do it. Picking them up when things didn't go right, which happens quite often, right? Yeah. And just having faith. And there was so many times as the coach, we'd have a big disappointment. We'd have adversity, but I knew, hey man, I gotta lead. So I gotta believe that we can do this. Or I gotta come on, hey, we can do this. Otherwise it ain't happening. If your leaders don't believe that you can do it or lead like they can do it, it's not gonna happen. And so that did happen. We did lead, and all of a sudden other things started to come together, and we were on our way.
So obviously you see a team like Penn State right now.
Yeah.
They've been dominating the field for how many years?
Yeah.
So you're looking in the field. Obviously there's multiple schools that are getting close or right there every once in a while. But, Penn State always somehow gets it done by the end of the year. How, as a coach, can you look at your team and go, guys, we can do this? They're humans just like we are. How do you start to build?
Well, let me go back. I mean, building the program to that point, the culture took over. It wasn't Coach Miller. It wasn't the coach, whoever. We had Coach Walker, Hogan at that point in the early years. It was the culture, because now you got your team is built in. Like you brought up, do it anyway. Hey man, I would hear do it anyway from athlete to athlete. Hey man, how come you're late? Oh, man, do it anyway. Get there. Let's go. Stuff that I wasn't talking about, they were talking about, right? So you could just feel the difference that the other athletes were holding each other accountable, right? Which was a big deal, because when that happens, we're on our way. But you get back to a thing like once it's established, like you're talking about Penn State right now, the culture there, the expectations, it's there. Hey, what do you mean? That's what we do.
Right.
Kales doesn't have to, hey, we're good, guys. And they know that. I mean, and what's their expectations? They expect to win at a high level. That's when you have a great team and a great team that have done it for a number of years. That's what happens. I mean, you don't have to explain the expectations. Athletes are going there because of the expectations, right? No matter what sport it is. Alabama football. I mean, they're going there. Hey, I'm going there because number one, we're winning all the time. Number two, we're getting drafted a lot of guys are getting drafted all the time. I mean, Coach Saban doesn't have to explain that all the time. He might if he needs to, but it's the culture.
Before we continue today's episode, we would like to give a shout out to our second podcast episode sponsor, Iowa Ortho. Iowa Ortho offers outstanding orthopedic care to both local residents and beyond. With expert teams that tackle various orthopedic difficulties, including sports injuries and arthritis, all to improve your comfort and quality of life. Their accessibility stands out with 9 convenient locations across central Iowa. Setting up an appointment is easy. Visit their website at www.iowaortho.com or call 515-247-8400. Experience top quality care without any hassle. Explore their distinctive services like the state-of-the-art body composition scan, perfect for athletes and active individuals. It assesses body fat, muscle content, and bone distribution, which helps tailor training and understand unique physiological needs at an attractive price of $40. Choose Iowa Ortho for superior orthopedic care and convenience. Take the step toward improved orthopedic health today. Visit their website or call to arrange an appointment. Experience their exceptional care firsthand. Thank you, Iowa Ortho, for your support. Let's get back to the episode. I want to talk about the challenges of coaching your son, TJ, during college. I mentioned he ended up being a national champion.
Yeah, I mean, I get that question a lot because there's a lot of, dads and moms coaching their children, boys and girls now, right? and I wasn't great at it. I didn't know what I was doing. But the difference in my difference is I'm coaching my son at the college level. That's a lot more unusual, it seems like, than
Yeah.
middle school or high school. And so he's a grown man, and I'm sure it was hard on him. Hey, your dad's a head coach. Hey, what dad say? Who knows what? I don't know. Wow, what he had to deal with, but it worked out, and it actually became. If you took one moment in time of my coaching career, just one piece, that was probably the highest piece of my coaching career. My son wins the national championship. I'm in the corner, right? And actually, there's only 5 dads in history of NCAA wrestling that was a national champion himself and coached his son to a national championship. Only 5 in history, and that's for the first tournament was 1928. So that's been quite a while. So, but anyway, it was awesome. I mean that moment, but were there rough times along the way? Sure. And one of the best things I did was other coaches took him under their wing, especially Chris Ortner, who now is the head coach at Don Bosco's, won a couple of state championships, really good coach. He kind of took him under his wing and did most of it. And I still sat in the corner. I didn't know if he wanted me to. The first time when I say, hey, Coach Ortner is going to take you, and I didn't sit in his corner. He came back and said, I want you in the corner, but he's my coach. He's my main coach. So it worked out a lot better for everybody. But he took off. But what happened with him was it was the culture. Other guys on the team kind of drug him along. A guy named Blake Gillis, who was really good heavyweight, 4-time finalist, national champion, was 3rd in the Midlands. He was really good. They were roommates and best friends, and he kind of pulled him along, like challenging him and so forth. And he grew, he got better, and ended up being really good and won his own title. So,
yeah, I mean that's an incredible story too. I mean, just being able to say that you coach your son, I watched him win a national title and being in the corner, that's pretty cool. And I mean, even on the podcast with Doug, he talked about his kids are young, but he's a college coach himself, knowing when to, step in and say something and knowing when to kind of refrain a little bit and let them figure it out on their own,
because you got to take it home with you.
Right.
If it's your own son or daughter, you take it home with you. Yeah. And I can remember early in my career at Warburg, I think TJ might have been a sophomore, and he told his mom, I'm not coming home for Thanksgiving. I don't want to hear Dad talking about what am I doing? How come I'm not doing nothing enough? And my wife, she comes up a lot, it seems like, but she said, we're not talking wrestling. He's coming home. We're not talking wrestling during Thanksgiving, period. And so we didn't, I don't think. I really tried not to. And that's what happened. So sometimes, someone else steps in and kind of, hey, man, gives you some good advice.
Yeah, I mean, kind of switching subjects here, I guess. But I mean, you've seen it a little bit here or there. We've talked about it a little bit, but these athletes now that are coming into college wanting to do multiple sports, whether it's baseball and football or whether it's wrestling and football. You got guys like Ben Keeter, obviously saw him commit to Iowa. I just saw the other day some kid, I don't even know where he's from, but he committed to Wisconsin to play football and wrestle. And I know you've told me a little story about a guy that you had.
Yes, so. I did. Yeah. So I know it's possible. It's amazing, but it's possible. A guy named Mark Sidlinger. I was at Charles City. I was with Mark. Mark won 3 state titles at heavyweight, and I was his coach. When he left, I left to go back to UNI to coach. But Mark came out and said, "Hey, I think I want to do both sports." Because he was first team All-State in football twice. Iowa recruited him for football, mostly football. And he said, hey, I think I want to try to do both, and it was like almost everybody in town was saying, hey, you got to pick them. Or maybe you go to a small school and you can do both. And but he said, no, I want to try to do both. And somehow he did, man. You think about it, it's pretty amazing. He started for Hayden Fry and with football 3 years in a row, went to a bowl game. and was a 2-time All-American for Gabe in wrestling, starting in January. So uh, is it rare? For sure. So when Ben Keeter or some phenomenal athlete comes out and says, I'm going to do it, I'm not saying he can't. I've seen it happen,
Right.
man. And someone I coached and loved. But how do you do that? My 22 years at Warburg, we had one, John Helgerson, who ended up being a national champion at heavyweight. He did it 1 year, football and wrestling. And then he chose wrestling. And so, because even at that level, it's hard.
Right.
It's hard. And so, I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be, but man, is it a rare scenario?
Yeah, and that's usually what you see. A guy tries it out for a year,
Yeah,
maybe two. He ends up choosing a sport.
Right.
It's just it's an interesting thing, but I think it's been more prevalent in the recent years.
It
I
has,
think that
yeah.
it has been, in the past. And going back to disappointments, I guess, and maybe not disappointments, but maybe it's taking a loss. Maybe it's a guy is the starter and he's getting his butt kicked in practice by a guy that's JV, or maybe a guy that he should be whooping up on. And so how do you prevent that disappointment from taking away from future opportunities to ensure, these athletes are staying focused on their next opportunity in front of them?
Well, you can't avoid adversity. I mean, it's common. And in this sport, it's built in. You're gonna have adversity, man. You're probably gonna have adversity every single day with something, whether it's in practice or cutting weight, or I flunked a class, or I'm in trouble in a class, maybe, or whatever. And so it almost, I'm hoping the athletes get better as they go along, being able to handle adversity. But the coaching staff, the athletic trainer, managers, everybody's there hopefully to help them get through it. Like I was really fortunate. I had some really good athletic trainers that were really good, not only at taking care of injuries, but helping their mental game as they're taking care of their injuries.
Yep.
And they would come in and say, "Hey, coach, I talked to Johnny today about such and such," and he kind of helped me help him on what to say and what to do and so forth. So it goes right back to the family thing again,
Yep.
everybody being involved. But yeah, I mean, you're never going to get rid of adversity. Most people talk about, hey man, you won 10 national championships, happened when you were at Warburg. But we had adversity every year, man. It never went away, and it's just, some of them were just different types of adversity, but it never went away. And it was almost a daily scenario. I mean, I always looked at it like this. I got 40 athletes. If half of them have one problem, I got 20 problems.
Yep.
That I'm trying to help these people deal with or get over, or, and so it was just part of the job, and you try to get good at it. And that's why, another reason why you have all these other people with you in the family, that they can help. So, and the athletes knew there's more than one person to turn to, So it's a part of life, man. It's just life. And when the good thing is, I've had so many athletes that are done. I mean, they're graduated, they're moved on. Some of them 20 years ago. And one in particular, I'll never forget, calls me up and says, "Hey, coach, I just want to let you know, I had to do it anyway last night. The baby was up all night long." And so that's when okay, these guys are dealing with life, adversity, and they know, and they're prepared to do it, hopefully. And he was. And so, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think how you explained it in your book was like a guy goes out for a pass, a wide receiver drops it. But he's still got to go back to the huddle for the next play. He's got to refocus. He's got to be ready for that next opportunity, that next moment.
And when I talk to coaches, that's what I talk about. What do you do if you have someone drop a touchdown pass, miss an easy layup? What are the coaches telling them? "Hey, forget about it, Johnny. We'll get the next one." Well, the coaches got to do the same thing. You got to do the same thing. Your kid gives up an easy takedown. Hey, man, you can't just,
Hound him.
Yeah. Hey, man, let it go. you got to let it go too.
Yeah.
And if you get good at letting it go, so will your athletes, or vice versa. If you're not good at letting it go, you can't expect your athletes to be good at letting it go.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. So obviously working at the museum is a pretty cool job.
yeah, pretty damn good.
And in the last few weeks, I mean, we've had some pretty big faces come in here. You want to tell, us a memorable encounter, or even just an event that happened when someone just unexpectedly walks in, didn't say a word, just all of a sudden shows up.
Well, there's been a number of them, right? And the biggest one lately was Gable Stevenson, right? You come into my office and say, "Hey, Gable Stevenson just walked in." I go, "Shut up," and you go, "No, for real." And so we come out and there he is, da da da, and had a great time for about an hour with Gable. Very humble dude. It was fun, and told a lot of stories. He told us that we need to update some stuff, basically telling us, "Hey, man, I need to get my name in here, my picture in here." And he's right. He's 100% right. And we're working on that. But other ones have been Kurt Angle. Last October, Kurt Angle walks in, world champ, Olympic champ, national champ, WWE champ, right? And he was doing that was actually with what, A&E TV. They were doing a show, and we were part of that show. Some other ones were, if you know the story, the Sullivan Brothers, which is right down the road here, Sullivan Brothers Convention Center. Five Sullivan brothers in Waterloo, Iowa, were on the same ship in World War II that went down, and we lost all five brothers. And so the Sullivan brothers have been a big part of the Waterloo history. It would never happen before. It's terrible. Never happened. Five brothers, and they quit letting brothers get on the same ship since that time. And anyway, one day, this young lady comes in, and with a man and a lady come in, and she says, "Hey, Coach Miller, I think it was Kelly Sullivan." I didn't put it together at the time, but she said, I go, "Sullivan Brothers, are you related to she goes, "I'm the granddaughter, or I think great-granddaughter. I'm the great-granddaughter of all the Sullivan." I go, "Whoa." And the man that was with her, his great-grandfather was the captain of the ship that went down with the Sullivan Brothers. And so, wow, man, that was a lot to take in, but it was very cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So we get a lot of people come in. Larry Owens came in when I wasn't here. It was before my time, but Kyle Klingman told me Larry Owens. Dan, we had a group here from Michigan, a team from Michigan. They were here. Dan Gable was here. I mean, what a lucky deal. And Dan's usually here once a month or so. And you get lucky sometimes, just like when we had some people in here when Gable Stevenson came in. I mean, they just lucked out, got his autograph and picture. And but Dan Gable was here for those guys from Michigan. Dan leaves. And before the Michigan guys left, Larry Owens shows up. I mean, wow. So anyway, it's pretty cool. But hey, what a great job, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I love watching you give tours. I've been, just trying to figure out how to do it myself.
Yeah.
I think my favorite line is, "Hey, come over here, come see this real quick. You got to see this." And they're like, "What?" And it's like, you notice this guy, and it's you, on the wall, and you're always like, best looking guy in the museum. Best looking guy in the museum.
Best looking guy. And back then, man, you take a look, man, I was 21 years old, had a full head of hair. And but even my grandchildren come in. I said, "Hey, right here." They don't recognize me either, but I have fun with it. And, it's a connection with the people that you're doing, because they're looking at all the different write-ups on the different people. So, but it's pretty cool to be on the wall here. And that happened before I got here. I just want people to know when they remodeled 5 years ago, Kyle Klingman had me come in, just surprised the heck out of me. And when your image is on the wall of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think maybe a week or two ago, we had a little camp here, and a couple of your past wrestlers came in, so we had a little conversation about a few of them, but there was one guy you said that missed weight in all your years of coaching. You want to tell that story a little bit and just kind of what you learned from it and how you handled it?
Well, his name was Byron Tate. Byron Tate was state champ from Clinton, and he was a 3-time national champion in the finals of the Midlands. He was in the All-Star meet. For a D3 guy, these are, I don't know how much higher you can climb, right? He was one of the better guys I ever coached. And but Byron misses weight. We're on our way to Central College for a dual meet. You want me to tell this story?
Yeah.
Okay. We're on our way to Central College for a dual meet, and we're getting halfway there, and I'm in a different van. And Byron texts me, "Hey, coach, how long do we got before weigh-ins once we get there?" Oh, right away, of course, this dude's overweight. What do you do? And so I'm texting back. I don't know. And the weather was bad. So we're going slow. Usually we try to get there an hour. Weigh-ins in an hour. So we try to get there maybe an hour before weigh-ins or 40 minutes before weigh-ins. But we're not going to this time because we're going so slow because of the weather. We get there, 20, 25 minutes before weigh-in. And I told the assistant, I can't remember who, but I said, take Tate and start working out. Don't even weigh in. I don't care. We're not going to weigh in until the last minute. And so they do. And here he goes. He goes working out. And this guy sweats easy. He's a 197 pounder. And so I asked the coach at Central, "Hey, you think we could have a little more time to weigh in because the weather, we didn't get there on time?" And he goes, "No." And I don't blame him because that is when we're supposed to weigh in, an hour before the meet. So I thought it was worth a shot. So long story short, Byron weighs in last, and he's like 2 pounds over. So he wasn't even close.
Right. Yeah,
he wasn't even close. So anyway, we win, but we get, I don't know what the score was, 30-something-6. And the only match we lost was Byron forfeit. I'm not happy with him. He knows I'm not happy with him. We're going to Simpson for a tournament the next day. So we're staying overnight there, going to the tournament next day. And I said, "Tate, you want to be heavyweight? You're wrestling heavyweight tomorrow. You wrestle heavyweight this tournament. See how you like heavyweight." Because I know there's going to be some big dudes there. He doesn't say nothing. He doesn't say anything. So Byron weighs in at scratch weight, 197. Just to make a point to me that, hey, man, I'm making weight.
I can make weight.
Yeah. Because I didn't even tell him he had to make weight, I don't think. I'm assuming he's going to wrestle heavyweight. And he does. So I enter him at heavyweight. And I'm thinking, I'm going to teach this kid a lesson. I know you're 2-time national champ already, but hey, man, you can't be not making weight. I've never had anybody not make weight. My whole 22 years, and never had anybody not make weight except him. And he smashes every heavyweight, tech fall in the finals. So I don't know what he learned. I learned that, hey, one thing I learned, he could win the nationals at heavyweight too, if we let him. That's what I learned. So anyway, it was pretty funny, but.
Yeah, it's just, the perspective's cool. It's like, well, if he wants to miss weight, then I'm going to make him wrestle the next weight up. I'm not going to, make a scene of it or whatever. Maybe you did, but, I'm going to try and teach him a lesson.
Yeah, 100%.
But, going off of that, I know you got many recruiting stories too. So, I just want you to give your kind of best recruiting story that you think that you have as a coach,
Which one was my best recruiting story?
Probably, one you've told me was pretty cool.
Which one?
When you flew in on the...
Oh, this is Byron Tate again. Oh, my goodness.
Airplane.
Byron Tate. Byron Tate's Clinton. And I didn't even... Dude, I seen him win the state title. We had not recruited him at all. And now it's like 3 weeks later or something. Now we are recruiting him. I thought he was going somewhere else. We found out he hadn't decided yet. So I do a home visit, run up there, home visit, talk to him. I said, we got to get you down for campus. And in the meantime, somehow we find out he's never been in an airplane. He's never flown. And so one of my guys, Joe Breitbach up here, he's a pilot. I didn't know he was a pilot. He doesn't have a plane, but he can go lease. He said, I can get a plane. I said, so we could fly to Clinton and pick up Byron Tate? He goes, yeah. But the rule was you had to have, at that time, I remember right now, this has been a while, you had to have someone from admissions go with you doing something. Admissions could do it. Admissions could fly somebody if they wanted to, if they chose to or whatever. But Steve Walker, my assistant, was in admissions. So here we go. Steve Walker, me, Joe, we go fly the plane to Clinton. We say, hey, you're big time to us, man. We're going to fly in and we're flying in to see you. We're flying in to bring you, give you, get you to campus. And so that's what happens. Clinton Airport, Byron, big time, getting in the plane, da-da-da-da-da. We fly up. Joe said, hey, you want to steer a little bit? Da-da-da. He's having fun. And we get him to campus. And that weekend he commits, coming to Wartburg. Great, da-da-da-da-da. He said, when we flying home? I go, oh, the plane, we can't use the plane. We weren't flying him home.
Yeah.
And so he could drive. So we never flew. We never did it again. But for that particular case, it was a fun recruiting trip.
I couldn't imagine. How far is Clinton from here? Just
A couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it takes longer to take off and land than it does to even fly there.
You're always trying to find your niche in recruiting them.
Yeah.
What is the key? I can't tell you how many times I would find out what music, for example, somebody liked. And back then we had cassette tapes. This is going back before your time. Do you know what a cassette tape is?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I'd have him in my car, right? And so say it was AC/DC. This is how I first learned AC/DC. One of the kids liked AC/DC. So I would put AC/DC in my car, play it, the top song, whatever it was. Because I'd ask someone, hey, what's the best song, Daisy? Tell me. I'd get it there. And so when they got in the car, I turn it on and boom, AC/DC. And all of a sudden, Coach, you like AC/DC? Oh, of course I do. Because, so any little tidbit like that, you try to get an edge.
Yeah.
I try to use all edges. Yeah.
Get them locked in right
Yeah.
there.
100%.
What am I not going to like about this trip? Before wrapping up this week's episode, we would like to give a shout out to our final sponsor, Mulligan's Brick Oven. Prepare for a delightful dining experience filled with incredible flavors and lasting memories. Choose between the lively pub or the serene East Wing. Both offer a welcoming and friendly ambiance. Centrally located between 18th Street and the Cedar Prairie Trail, Mulligan's is a favorite spot for locals and visitors alike. Their menu showcases inventive dishes with a focus on brick oven pizza and progressive pub fare. From classic favorites to unique creations, each dish is meticulously prepared for an unparalleled quality and flavor. Their brick oven pizzas, a beloved choice, blend tradition with a special touch. But the indulgence doesn't stop there. Mulligan's takes pride in their extensive beer menu, thoughtfully curated to complement their cuisine. Light or dark, malty or hoppy, they have the perfect brew for every taste. Open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sundays through Wednesdays, and extending until midnight Thursdays through Saturdays. Mulligan's offers ample opportunities to savor their culinary delights and explore a diverse range of beers. Experience a culinary adventure like never before at Mulligan's Brick Oven Grill and Pub. Thank you again, Mulligan's Brick Oven Pizza Grill and Pub. Shifting gears a little bit again, it's like going back to, you just have so much experience, it's like you're do it anyway, right? And I think that's the answer to this question. It's like, what life takeaway or life lesson do you believe applies to every aspect of life? And that's what you've done. You've taken this do it anyway motto and you've applied it to business, to wrestling, to coaching, to recruiting, to all areas that you've went and spoke to, all these different places, If you just want to talk a little bit about, the do it anyway motto and kind of what it means to you and how it can impact somebody's life and use it as a life lesson.
Yeah, man. There's so many things in life we don't feel like doing, right? But do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do what I need to do anyway. And like I said in previous one, hey, man, you know what you need to do. The do it anyway part is you actually go do it. And to put it in there with do it anyway is this thing I call the 17 steps, which helps me do it anyway. the 17 steps in life means for me, like, for instance, there was 17 steps from my locker to the wrestling room door. And, you know, I coached 37 years, man. There was plenty of times I didn't really feel like going to practice. You know, of course, I didn't mind going to practice, but there's some days you just, man, I'm not with it like other days.
Right.
But that also included times when I had to teach. I'm going into the classroom. There's plenty of times, even to this day now, I'm going into a speech, right? And I want to do a great job at all of them. I want to be good at coaching. I want to be good at speech. I want to be good teaching, whatever it is. And so I would use those steps to, like, any baggage that I might have, like, you know, hey, I forgot. I got a kid in academic trouble, or my wife's mad at me. I forgot to turn in my travel expenses. I'd be throwing them off as I went in my mind. I'd be throwing it off, right? And by the time I got in that door, you know, I'm bringing positive energy to the workplace, you know, because in my case, the wrestling room, you know, you got your athletes, you got your staff, you got your athlete trainer, you got your managers. Everybody you're working with is in that, in your workplace. And I talk to managers, I talk to people that own businesses about this all the time. How much difference it makes when you bring positive energy to the workplace or to the classroom or to a speech, you know, whatever it might be. And it's just a mindset. And I just got such in a habit of doing that it became a part of our culture. Coaches coming in, being positive. And I would talk to athletes about it too. Hey, man, don't bring negatives to the practice room. You got a problem right now, put it in your sock, put it in your shoe, put it in your locker, leave it. Let's have a great practice. And we're going to be so much better to fix whatever we need to fix after a great practice. Don't let it get in the way. Those kind of things. But it's just a life skill, you know, and do it anyway became a part of that. Whether I felt like going to practice or not, I'm going to do those 17 steps or whatever you need to do to get yourself ready to have a great day. And so, you know, and when that became that, you know, that it becomes a, what do I want to say? Other people are going to gravitate to whatever you're bringing, man. You're bringing negative energy. Who wants to be around that? Right. Who wants to work for a coach or go out? Who wants to wrestle for a coach that comes in, he's negative all the time? Or we can't do this, or we can't, nobody. Who wants to work for somebody that comes in and you got negative, or you got other people working in the workplace that's, you know, negative all the time? Man, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, one thing I heard you say, and maybe you didn't say it exactly like this, but, you know, we have these thoughts, feelings, and emotions all the time that we're allowing to dictate our life. You know?
100%.
It affects our attitude and our effort. If we bring those things into it, we might not always do what we need to do.
Right.
So, I mean, what you're talking about is basically having control over all those things, being able to throw them off. Like you said,
Yes.
visualization,
Yes.
going back to it. We've already talked about it, that visualization, being able to throw them off. How am I going to do this today? How do I want to show up for my athletes? How do I want to show up to the people I work with, you know?
And I had to also learn it at home, which I wasn't very good at in the beginning. You know, I had 3 kids at home, my wife, and I was one of those guys that brought everything home. How are we going to win this week? Who am I going to recruit? I got to raise some money. And I'm doing all that at home. I had to learn to do the 17 steps before I went in the house.
Yeah.
You know, hey, man. And I, you know, if I shut off my phone, my kids went to bed at 9:30. If someone left me a message, I'll call them back at 9:30, man. I didn't miss out on anything. But I did get a chance to say, hey, how'd your day go, honey? You know, how's the boy? How you doing? You know, read them a book or whatever it is. Because, and one thing I learned from that, so important, the better things got at home, the better I was at my job. Because I wasn't worrying about what's going on at home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
God, I was a dummy last night at home. And I didn't even talk to the kids. You know, I wasn't worried about any of that stuff. So it freed me up at work and doing my job because I was better at home. So that 17 steps when I say life skill, it's not just in the job. It's about almost everything you do. Bringing in when I'm going to meet somebody, hey man, how you doing?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, and it goes back to making that choice, right?
Yeah.
It's motivation by choice.
Motivation by choice. Yeah, you make a decision. Same thing here at the museum. Someone walks in the door. I don't know, for some reason, there's 3 claps getting me going. Hey, what's happening? How you doing? Da, 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 da.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you're welcoming them and got some energy with you.
Yeah, and I mean, I read this thing. Just Tim Tebow's great, great in a lot of ways, but he says, it's a lot of life is a choice, and you get to choose to be grateful. You get to choose to live for. You get to choose what you live for, and you get to choose what you serve for in life.
I like it.
And I think that do it anyway is that for you.
Yeah.
You live for that, you serve for that, and no matter how you're feeling, no matter how you're doing, you're going to make those 3 claps, 17 steps, whatever it is that gets you going. You're just going to do it anyway.
Well, you said the key words there. No matter how you're feeling.
Yeah.
That's irrelevant. That's good.
Yep. So, in your book, you talk a little bit about false identity, I think. People often comparing you to Dan Gable. I've even witnessed it in here. Yeah. It's like, oh, I think he's here. They're like whispering, is that him? Is that him? And they're like, oh, can we get a picture? And you're like, I'm not Dan Gable. But I mean, how do you respond to that? How do you I mean, I'm sure at first it was different than it is now, and just the comparison and just how do you go about it?
Well, it's happened a lot. And sometimes, like the other day, last week, I can remember this lady was in the museum and she says, hey, could I, and I just came in. She says, could I get a picture with you with my boys? I go, yeah. And I walked in my office and I asked Becca, who was in her office, I go, could you go ask that lady if she wants a picture with Jim Miller and see what she says, So she did. And she actually did want a picture with Jim Miller. So, but sometimes I'm so much more careful about if they know what's up. And I've had fun with it. And it's happened a lot, but people have fun with it too. And they've been pretty good to me, even though if they thought it was Gable at first, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah. So, we go back to building connections. Building connections are huge. They've been a huge part of what you talk about, your success and how you bring value to your team and just how you keep everyone connected is important. So how did you foster that culture of collaboration and support? How did you bring that in to your program and to your life and making it every aspect?
I think it's just simple. Just, hey man, you're grateful for people that you get help from or that are interested in helping you, and you say thank you. Can't tell you how much that means to people. Late in my career, before a dual meet, I would even go into the stands. Let's say it's the dual meets at 7:00, and maybe at 6:30 to 6:40, I'm just walking up the stand saying, "Hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
thanks for being here. Appreciate it." Or maybe you're just saying, "Hey, what's up over here?" Because the team doesn't need me in there anyway. They're warming up. The other coaches are in there. They don't need me. And I still go in there right before we go out and say, let's go, man.
right.
But I get a chance to actually, and were they surprised when I started? Yeah. But it was cool. Hey, coach, how you doing? What's it look like tonight? What's the key matches tonight? So, and those interactions, but they feel, you get a connection. You get to say, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of it. And, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't. And I think that's huge. And I think a lot of people probably valued that, And when looking back on your career, something I noticed, I mean, reading the book and just kind of watching, you like to focus a lot on the process rather than the outcome. And I think that's something you kind of emphasize. Can you explain why that approach is valuable?
Give me an example.
So, the outcome, your goal, right, is to be a national championship team or for this guy to win a national championship, whatever it is, the outcome, the goal, what you want to achieve. But sometimes, we kind of lose sight of that outcome
100%.
Going through because we start focusing solely on the outcome and not the process and the journey it takes to get.
I think I know what you mean. I mean, the goal was never to win a national title. I mean, don't get me wrong. We wanted to win a national title, wanted each guy to have a chance if they were good enough. But what we talked about was competing to your full potential is what we talked about. Competing at or near your full potential is what we're trying to get at, because you know what? Everybody can do. From the best guy on the team to the guy with the worst record on the team. Everybody can compete to your full potential. And if you are competing to your full potential, you're going to probably like the results, whatever those results are, right? And when you get a whole team or the great majority of the team, let's say, competing that way, our practices totally look different than when we started there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because we might have had, 30% of the people going to their full potential, 70 now. And then it got to 50. And then, once it hit, like, say we had the majority of the team, 2/3 of the team going that way, it kind of pulled the other third with it, man, I better pick it up because I'm really falling behind here. I'm not doing what these guys are doing. And when you got your whole team, when you actually say we're going to go hard, the whole team, man, that looks a whole lot different. You got to scrap them. I mean, it's fun for people just to come in and sit down and watch. Like, man, even if they don't know wrestling,
Entertaining.
Yeah, even if they don't know wrestling, they know competition, and they can just watch it and see it and feel it. Man, so that was the goal. So competing to your full potential and getting your team to compete to your full potential, that's what led to the championships. Not saying, hey, we want to win national championship.
Right.
That led to the championships because we had more people doing that than anybody else, right? And that kind of, and even some years where we felt like, God, we didn't really have a great tournament. Maybe we had only 6 or 7 wrestle to their full potential. But you know what? The second place team had 4 or 5, and we still won the national championship, right? And so, but that's what led to it. Just that the model of, dude, no matter where you're at in the lineup, the goal is for you to fight your butt off the whole time.
Yeah.
To your full potential. And it was simple because everybody can.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like Kyle Dake said, that he wants to be so good that even on his worst day, when he shows up, that he still wants to be the world champion.
Yeah.
So that's just what it kind of reminded me of, no matter if we perform at our worst, we are still going to win.
Yes.
Because that worst is still better.
That's right.
Than the other team's
best.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I mean, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here and go kind of hindsight, obviously you're not coaching anymore, but kind of how you would handle these couple changes that have been adopted into the sport in the last, one was this year and then the other was a couple years ago. But what's your opinion on the 3-point takedown?
I don't know. I haven't formed one totally, but I'm not initially a fan of it. I don't know if it's going to help anything. I liked, and I don't like to, and for some reason I feel like maybe we're catering more to guys that are good on their feet. And don't get me wrong, I like guys that are good on their feet.
Yeah.
Right? But I had a lot of champions, a lot of guys that weren't great on their feet, but they were good all around. They could ride you if they needed to. They could get out. And so even if they got taken down once, they're in the ballgame, because they're going to ride you out, maybe, or whatever. But now you give a 3-point takedown. And last year we went to the overtime. Instead of 1 minute, it was 2 minutes. And where did you start? On your feet.
Right.
So, even if we'd had a guy that wasn't great on his feet, hey, we can make it 1 minute. We can make it even 1 minute. If we couldn't take him down, we can tie him up. We can underhook. We can 2-on-1. We're going to make it a minute, and then we're going to get on the mat, and that's where we're at.
Yep.
And so, And so, but now you make that a 2-minute deal. That's a whole lot harder to hold, And now you're saying you get 3 points for a takedown. You still only get 1 for escape, 2 for reversal. So I haven't seen it yet, but I'm not a fan at this point. I hope I love it. Hope it ends up being great for wrestling. Yeah. But that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And then, another change that's been brought in is just that the NIL transfer portal stuff. And How would you navigate that stuff now? With NIL and the transfer portal, if you were still coaching.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of. I'm not against people having a chance to leave if they need to, but how about one time? You get a chance to leave, you can do it one time.
Yeah.
You know, time after time, man. It's hard to build a team when it's like that.
Yeah.
And so that's one part. The NIL part. I mean, it's here, man. I don't like it, but it's here. And so even if I was D3, how am I going to make this work? I'd be trying to figure it out.
Right.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if they'd let you, but if you could, I mean, legally you could, I guess. And so I'm going to be the best NIL team out there, I guess.
Right.
I'm on because that. Do I like it? No.
It goes back to your recruiting. You wanted to make sure that you're getting to this guy, whether it's playing his music or flying him in, whatever it is. It'd be the same thing for NIL, probably.
It'd be hard, man. And I think just bottom line, NIL, put a limit on it. And I don't know a number. Let's say it's 50 grand. I don't know. Let's just say that's the number. You can't go higher. You can't go, and maybe it's 25. I mean, dudes, because some of them, with no limit, there's only a few teams that can even play out there, and that's not good for college wrestling, in my opinion, or not just college wrestling, most sports, right?
Yep.
And because everybody can't play at that level because they don't have the funding, and so that's my two things. You transfer once. Let's put a limit on the NIL, and I think that's a start.
So usually I wrap up with a little rapid fire, just to get to know you a little bit. What's your favorite place to eat? Waterloo, Cedar Falls.
I'm Chick-fil-A guy. I mean, if you're talking about something quick, Chick-fil-A. I like brown bottles, sit down and eat.
Okay.
Yeah, lasagna, love it. And so that was easy.
Yeah. What's your favorite sports team?
I really don't. I can't think. I'm a sports person.
Yeah.
I'm a sports. When I grew up, it was the Chicago Bears. I'm Dick Butkus, Gale Sayers. I don't know, it might be before your time, but that was my team back in the day. All my kids like the Vikings.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, that didn't transfer to me. So I don't have. Becca, what are you saying? Oh, the Cubs. Okay, I'm gonna back this up. There is one team that I do have some favoritism, the Chicago Cubs, because I did throw out the first pitch. They had me come in after I retired, and I got to throw out the first pitch at Wrigley Field. So that was pretty dang cool. And so I do have a special deal in my heart for Chicago Cubs, even though, man, even in a decent year, like right now, we're 7 games out of first place or something. But the thing about the Cubs, what I love, win or lose, people are usually pretty happy in Wrigley Field. It's a great place to go watch a ball.
Who's your favorite athlete?
Man.
Or athletes?
I loved Michael Jordan. I loved how he competed. I loved how he refused to lose almost. Just had his total mind made up. So attitude-wise, I love that guy. Mickey Mantle was my guy, though. Mickey Mantle, when I grew up, I actually had 2 tops Mickey Mantle rookie cards. The last one I just heard sold for like $16.1 million last year. I had 2 of them growing up. And of course, did I take care of them? No, man. I was trading them. I put them on my bike. One of them I put on my bike. You get a clothespin, spokes. I just thought, man, I got Mickey on my bike, baby. But so who knew? But, you wish you could go back on a lot of things. That's one of them I wish I could go back.
All right, last one. What's your favorite home cooked meal?
Oh, man. My wife's a pretty good cook. Meatloaf, potatoes, corn, but I like turkey, cranberries, and potatoes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I do. I got a lot. I'm pretty easy on that part.
All right. I just want to say thank you for listening to the Elite Wrestling Club podcast. We hope you found today's episode valuable and enjoyed our exploration of Jim Miller. Just stay connected with us. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode. We release new content every Monday. Leave a review on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Your reviews help us reach more listeners and provide valuable content. Visit the Elite Wrestling Club website and follow us on social media for questions, topic suggestions, or to connect with our community. If you loved the episode, donate to us using our Elite Wrestling Club PayPal located on our Elite Wrestling Club podcast website. Go to elitewrestlingclub.store, click podcast, and then hit the podcast website button in yellow, where you will see the donation heart in the top right corner. We also just set up a new Venmo account for donations, so I believe that is on there as well. Also,
I just want to plug this because usually if I give a speech or I'm doing one of these, then I get, hey, how do I get your book? And so here's the book. Do it anyway. You can get it at the museum in person or CoachJimMillerSpeaking.com. CoachJimMillerSpeaking.com. Go to shop. You can get it. So thank you.
There you go.
Appreciate it, man.
Do it anyway. I just want to finish up saying these donations help us continue providing remarkable content for you weekly, as well as improve your experience for future episodes as well. Many exciting episodes are coming, so stay tuned and join us next time for your inspiration. Thank you for being a part of the Elite Wrestling Club podcast world. Keep exploring within to inspire others.